next news. Breaking news from the White House.
The Department of Homeland Security just torched the left's favorite lie with one name, Marian Charitun. DHS says Charitun registered to vote in New Jersey, falsely declared he was a United States citizen, and then voted in the 2022 general election for U.S. House. Not a theory, not a media fairy tale. A charged non-citizen, an actual ballot, an actual federal election. And on the same week, billboards near the border push birthright citizenship with one obscene line: deliveries starting at $4,000. Votes from foreign nationals, citizenship sold like a coupon. And Trump saw the scam early, and now the system just confessed it in public. And this matters because the ruling class built two pipelines in the same country. One pipeline steals political power, the other auctions citizenship. Democrats scream about democracy and then fight proof of citizenship and voter ID while DHS arrests a man for illegally voting in New Jersey. Senate Republicans are still dragging their feet while Trump hammers the Save America Act as the most important bill. And flat out says correctly, we're a third world country in some states with respect to voting. And he's right. The numbers bury the propaganda. 76% of black Americans back voter ID. 82% of Latino voters back it. 85% of white voters back it. That means the people are united and the political class is exposed. And then just look south. Billboards advertise deliveries starting at $4,000. Peter Schweitzer says more than 1,000 birth tourism companies operate in China, and an estimated 1 million U.S. citizens are being raised there today. That's not immigration. That is dispossession by loophole. And when billboards near the border can sell deliveries starting at $4,000, you better believe the same machine profits from keeping seniors trapped in bad Medicare plans by confusion. And that scam has a cousin, the Medicare Confusion Industrial Complex. Chapter cuts through it. They're simple by design, one call, one advisor. They look at your doctors, your prescriptions, your whole situation, and tell you the truth with no propaganda, just facts for seniors. No maze, no bureaucratic shell game. They work for you, not big insurance. If you're already on the right plan, don't worry, they'll say so. If not, they can help you switch. It's free, and it literally takes under 20 minutes. Call Chapter at 910-728-4109. That's the number you see right there on your screen. Last year, people who found new plans with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. Clarity? It beats bureaucratic racket every single time. And here's the detail the open border crowd can't talk their way around. It's not just about ballots and paperwork, it's about bodies. Pennsylvania State Trooper Michael Paharia Jr., a 44-year-old public servant who moved home to care for his cancer-stricken mother, he's dead after a fiery crash. The man charged is Michael Bond, a Haitian illegal alien who ICE moved to detain. I'm about to show you all the receipts because the same machine that shrugs at illegal votes also shrugs at American funerals. DHS and ICE have just arrested a non-citizen who illegally voted in New Jersey, and that's exactly why we need the Save America Act. Time is running out. Nuke the filibuster and pass it. Let's check in with President Trump here.
The Save America Act. Everybody wants it. Everybody is it, including Democrats. 87% of Democrats want it. Not the leaders, because they want to cheat. Their policy is so bad, they're unelectable.
Marian Charitun registered to vote in New Jersey, falsely declaring that he was a U.S. citizen and then voted in the general election. So the New Jersey arrest puts the real name on the voter fraud Democrats keep pretending never happens. Now the numbers, 76% of black Americans back voter ID along with huge majorities across the board.
Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
So something of a non.
Yeah, but it's controversial for the ruling class who wants to retain power. Republicans in the Senate, even Democrats, they all are terrified of having a legitimate voting system. No. Republicans and Democrats alike, they want to preserve the cheating because then they can control the power. It's as simple as that. That's why it's not going anywhere. So the public is with voter ID. Next, Trump takes it further, calling the Save America Act the most important bill on the table.
I'm a big fan of many bills, but I'm a much bigger fan of the most important bill. It's called the Save America Act. It's voter ID, it's proof of citizenship, and it's no mail-in ballots, other than it would be very, easy on this, frankly, but military, illness, disability, vacations, you can't get there, you're away, business. But other than that, you should go and vote. And if you don't, people cheat. You look at California, look at what happened to this Spencer Pratt thing. I mean, with the votes, hundreds of thousands, probably millions of votes gone. Well, he didn't make the runoff. He was so far ahead of third place, it was ridiculous. Maybe ahead of first place. But look at that. Look at what's happened with Steve Hilton. Had the U.S. attorney not started an investigation, they would have gotten Steve Hilton out too. So it's we're a third world country in some states with respect to voting.
Third world country. Yeah. Meanwhile, he's opening another front in the citizenship fight with Supreme Court rehearing the push over birth tourism. Trump announces he's filing for a rehearing with the Supreme Court on birthright citizenship after Anchor Baby Hospital was discovered in Texas. Signs and billboards are being put up all over our southern border in Mexico advertising birthright citizenship with deliveries starting at $4,000.
You can pay $3,950 if you want to have birth naturally, make your child a U.S. citizen.
Are you kidding?
You're on board. C-section, $5,525. I spoke with Ken Paxton on this, and he showed me pictures where there are houses in Texas that look residential. So it could be your neighbor's house, and you go inside the house, and there are rows of bassinets where Chinese women are coming, giving birth to a child, then going back to the Chinese Communist Party, educating their child there, and they have U.S. citizenship, which could amount to more than 1 million new voters in this country over time.
Only a stupid nation would allow this to happen. They also have a website, havemybabyintexas.com. By the way, this big border advertisement right there is miles away from the border. So their audience are people that are crossing back and forth. And by the way, if you think it's just Mexicans, no, that's just a checkpoint right there. People are traveling from all across the world to come to Mexico to go pregnant. They could have their baby here in the state of Texas. And, as a result of that, their kids are going to be American citizens. Congress has to codify this law.
Yeah, and
that's what they need to do.
they've taken this billboard down and the website. And this is obviously catering to a Spanish-speaking audience. The ones that I mentioned were separate and apart. And Abbott is prosecuting those, and those are Chinese birth tourism.
I think we need the federal government to go over social media sites, not just billboards. Billboards are easy to spot, obviously, by their definition. But what about what other advertisements are in other countries, giving them a pathway? We saw that with Come to America. It's never been easier during the Biden years. Now it's come.
So the Texas birth tourism pipeline is bad enough on its own. Peter Schweitzer lays the scale out of China even bigger, with more than 1,000 companies gaming U.S. citizenship.
In China alone, we have identified more than 1,000 birth tourism companies that are almost exclusively focused on the United States. Our federal government does not track this information because there is no centralized collection of information on the nationality of parents who are giving birth. China, however, has done estimates themselves, and the numbers are eye-popping. The Chinese government gave an estimate a few years ago. Their estimate was that on average 50,000 Chinese citizens a year were giving birth in the United States or at U.S. territories like Saipan. There are others like Professor Salvatore Barbonis from Australia who believes that number is higher. He's estimated 100,000. There was a research firm in China that estimated in 2018 alone 180,000 managed to give birth in the United States. No one knows what the actual number is, and that is the challenge that we face today. If you do the math, if you look at the ramping up of this activity over the last 13 years, and you take the ballpark estimates, you are looking at roughly 1 million, quote unquote, U.S. citizens who are being raised in the People's Republic of China today. If you look at the websites of these birth tourism companies, they will tell you who is hiring them. These are not political dissidents. These are military officers, people from the Ministry of Propaganda, people that are high-ranking officials in the Chinese Communist Party. In other words, these are part of the CCP establishment.
So it's not random abuse, it's organized, industrial, and foreign-backed, shifting from election integrity to public safety. Next, the deadly price of sanctuary policies. Blood on the roads. Haitian illegal alien with Massachusetts CDL slaughters Pennsylvania state trooper in a fiery crash. The hero trooper, Michael Pahira Jr., 44 years old, moved home to care for his mother. He's dead, crushed by a semi driven by a 33-year-old Haitian illegal who should never have been here.
In the spotlight, Michael Bond, an illegal immigrant from Haiti, was arrested last week for a crash that killed a Pennsylvania state trooper. Bond has been charged with vehicular homicide and involuntary manslaughter, amongst other charges. Now, ICE says it lodged a detainer to keep him in jail. Let's bring in border czar Tom Homan. There's just too many of these stories that we cover, but they're out there, so that's why we do. Here's what the Department of Transportation said. Department issued a final rule stopping unqualified and unvetted foreign drivers from obtaining licenses to drive commercial trucks and buses. States that operate recklessly and fail to enforce our common sense rules will be held accountable. And if you could pull up call for number 4, please. These are other incidents. I'm just going to put them up on the screen for people to see that have happened that have a similar story. You're trying to stamp it out. Tell us where we are on that.
Well, look, we've removed thousands of illegal aliens with CDLs. We're working very closely with many states. DHS is working hand in hand with Sean Duffy and his department. So the problem is we're working very well with red states. Blue states is still a struggle, right? Places like New York, I mean, ICE and CBP can't even get access to the DMV database to run the checks. So, you know, the continuation of sanctuary states, sanctuary cities, you know, thank God, you know, Todd Blanche is suing these cities as they come up, and we got to keep suing them. But we're out there, you know, Dana enforcing law. We're out there looking for these illegal aliens CDLs. In the last 5 days, ICE has arrested over 10,000 illegal aliens, which is a record.
10,000. The crackdown and the call out of blue state protection for illegal drivers. Now we end with a man they took from Pennsylvania trooper Michael Pahira, honored after a preventable tragedy.
And hundreds of people coming in all morning long. Michael Pahira's obituary, it says that his lifelong calling was service. He's also on the fire department here. He graduated from the Pennsylvania State Police Academy in 2007 as part of the 124th Cadet class. Over nearly 2 decades, he served with Troop N in Lehighton, Troop L in Schuylkill in Frackville. He was a patrol officer and later a motor carrier enforcement inspector. Those who knew him describe him as someone who had the highest integrity, professionalism, commitment to the communities he protected. This morning, we spoke with Gail Kovovich.
So the low-bearing fact in this whole scandal is still the ugliest one. Deliveries starting at $4,000. Think about that. While Senate Republicans hide behind procedure, American citizenship gets hawked on billboards near the southern border like a weekend discount. Chief Justice John Roberts in the Supreme Court cracked the door, and Donald Trump just kicked the issue back into the center ring with a rehearing demand. Good, and he should, because when Peter Schweitzer identifies more than 1,000 birth tourism companies in China And when DHS arrests Marian Charitun for illegally voting after falsely claiming citizenship, only one conclusion survives. Democrats built a chaos machine, weak Republicans tolerated it, and Trump is the one man counterattacking before the country gets sold off piece by piece. So here's the choice, and it's really not complicated. Either you stand with Donald Trump, the Save America Act, proof of citizenship, voter ID in a country that still belongs to its own citizens, or you stand with the racket. See, the racket, it lets Marian Charitun cast a ballot in New Jersey. The racket that lets deliveries starting at $4,000 advertise the liquidation of citizenship. The racket that left Trooper Michael Paharia's family with a folded flag in a grave because sanctuary state politicians treated lawbreakers better than Americans. Senate Republicans need to stop hiding, nuke the filibuster, pass the Save America Act now, and force every Democrat to vote for cheating in the open, and force every coward in the GOP to pick a side. If this segment hits you in the gut, then send it to one person who still thinks the system is normal, because it isn't. Trump is moving the country where it needs. So, and I want to move you to make sure you get the news. So that's why I set up this number, 844-840-4963. Thousands and thousands of patriots have already texted the words raw feed to that number, and they're getting the notifications that YouTube never sends because I'm sending them to you instead. And if you want to support our work, go to the merch shelf right below this video.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.